Welcome to Betting the Buckets, presented by BangTheBook.com. I'm Cole Ryan. I'll be your host for this unique podcast, which I like to call an NBA betting blast that delivers great basketball betting information in just mere minutes. The show was created really with the NBA fan in mind that likes to bet on basketball and get their information in a fast break format. So really my goal is simple. I'm going to get your day started right with a bevy of basketball information. I'm going to take a look at the league. I'm going to give you the latest news, maybe throw a few injuries in there, wagering angles, and I'm going to try to cap that all off with a nice winning pick at the end of the show. The best part about it, the show will only last about 5 minutes, so I won't eat up much of your time. So sit back and relax. It's time to get started. Before we look at the games on the small Thursday card, let's take a look back at some of the games from earlier in the week. I am a firm believer that if you want to win betting on basketball, you have to do your homework. Part of doing this homework is looking beyond the box scores in previous games and really finding wagering angles that you can use in the future. You really have to learn from your mistakes when you bet basketball because it's a grind. It's a day in, day out kind of grind where you have different things going on. If you can pinpoint something that you can use in the future, it's only going to help you out. And I followed basketball for a very long time, and there's a few things that I've noticed already, and I'm going to share one of them with you right now. Let's take a look back to the game featuring the Oklahoma City Thunder and the New Orleans Pelicans. This was a huge game for the Thunder because they welcomed back Kevin Durant. Let's face it, this guy's one of the best players in basketball. The Thunder are a much better team without him. Durant is so important to this team, and look, he didn't look rusty at all. He put up 27 points in the game against the Pelicans, but the big problem is that it didn't result in a win, straight up or against the spread at the betting window. The Thunder open is about 2.5 point favorites depending on your sports book, and that number jumped nearly 2 points when it was announced that KD would be back in the lineup. The wagering angle that I want everybody to focus on right now is how teams play when they get a key player back. Now, let's face it, key player can mean anything, but I like to focus on the superstars in the NBA because that's what the NBA is about. They're about superstars. When a key player returns to the lineup, it may not be as good as you think. This only applies to the very first game that they play, by the way, and we'll take a look at this game. KD looked good from a shooting standpoint, right? If you looked at the box score, you'd see 27 points, and you'd be like, man, he played great, but he was sloppy. He had 5 turnovers in the first 3 quarters, and more importantly, his team had trouble adjusting to his return. Chemistry is a real thing, people, and it takes a little time to get that going, especially if you bring a key player back. Let me prove it. The Thunder offense was much more efficient when Kevin Durant was off the court, scoring 23 more points per 100 possessions. They turned it over nearly twice as often when Durant was on the court, and they also rebounded better without him on the floor. It takes time to get that chemistry back when a star player returns because the other players are kind of sitting back, feeding him the ball, letting him get used to playing again, and they really don't take a pivotal role in what's going on the court. That's why they played better when he was off the floor, because they went back to what they were used to. They all wanted to attack. They all wanted to play aggressive. Keep this in mind during the rest of the season. And look, it's not a perfect wagering angle, people. Pick your spots. I know a ton of people are going to hit me up on Twitter saying, hey, Russell Westbrook came back and the Thunder won that night, and they won big. And look, they did. But they played the New York Knicks. And they played the New York Knicks without Carmelo Anthony. Come on, people. Don't even waste my time. Just pick spots. Trust me, this is an angle that I like. It's one I trust. But let's take a look at the betting market now for the NBA for Thursday night. If I can stress anything is that I really think Thursday night is one of the most dangerous nights to bet on basketball. There's only 3 games on the board for Thursday, so be careful. With a limited slate, the odds makers, they can be very precise with line placement and movement. In other words, it's much harder to find value. The game that I want to focus on is the game between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. This game will get a lot of attention for many reasons. 1, it's on TV. 2, it features LeBron James in Madison Square Garden. That's enough to get anybody to want to bet on it. But surprisingly enough, the Knicks are getting more of the attention early from the basketball bettors. As of right now, the Knicks are getting 50% of the betting action. This line opened up at -7.5, and it's starting to pop a little bit. You haven't seen it yet. Trust me on this. It stayed that way across the board, but with only a few games on the board, that's going to change. What happens is Thursday night, you get basketball on TV, people want to bet, they're going to bet on the chalk. This will go to 8 before tip-off. And for those of you who think you're a little sneaky grabbing the Knicks at value, I get it. Look, I love underdogs, but the Knicks are awful. How about 5-14 against the spread this year? That's the worst in the league. I'm not saying they're good play or bad play. To me, this game is a pass, but I thought the line was very interesting. I also thought the betting trends were very interesting, too, as well as who was on what team. But I know why you guys are here. So let's focus. Let's get on to the pick of the night. I lost my first pick with the Bulls for my last Betting the Buckets podcast, but I won't even get into that foul that Kirk Heinrich made late in the game. I could go on forever about it. So let's move on to Thursday night. Again, only 3 games on the card. Be selective. I'm going to take a look at the Indiana Pacers against the Portland Trail Blazers. Basketball, since they play it every night, it's a streaky sport as well, and the Blazers are catching the Pacers at the right time. They're just not playing any defense, none at all. Over the last 4 road games, the Pacers are giving up an average of 107 points per game and over 51% shooting. This, by the way, includes over 40% from behind the three-point arc. They just gave up a season-high 116 points to the Suns, and they're playing at one of the toughest places to play in the league. There is such thing as home court advantage, and if anyone has a good home court advantage, it's Portland. The Blazers, 40-12 at home since the start of last season. They have one of the NBA's highest scoring lineups at 77.3 points per game, and Portland has outscored opponents 41-26 in points off turnovers in the last 2 wins. That means they're doing everything right. They're getting the turnovers, they're scoring off the turnovers, their starting lineup is playing great, and they're at home. LaMarcus Aldridge is a beast. Okay, this guy's totaled 65 points, 26 rebounds, while shooting 57% in those last 2 games. And he dominates Indiana. 26 points per game, 55% shooting in his last 3 at home versus the Pacers. If we're going to go to against the spread numbers, again, the edge to the Blazers. The Pacers are 4-10 against the spread in their last 14 games against the Western Conference, and the Trail Blazers 6-2-1 against the spread in their last 9 home games. They're just really tough at home. Very tough spot for the Pacers. All signs point to the Blazers. Take the Blazers, drop the 8.5 points. They're going to win this game by double digits. The Pacers are just in a rough spot right now. But again, small play. I'm not very big on this play. It's Thursday night. That means it's going to be a tough slate overall, so be careful. Okay, that'll do it for the show. Make sure to stop by BangTheBook.com for all of your basketball betting needs. And hit me up on Twitter at ColeRyan9. ColeRyan9. Hit me up at Twitter. I love to talk about everything. You want to talk about the show, you want to talk about the NBA, you want to talk about football, whatever you want to talk about, hit me up. I'll be glad to talk to you about anything you want to. Anyway, have a great night on the court and win big betting the buckets.